Hey guys, Extremely Average Man here, and today I figured I'd talk about a rifle I've owned for almost 2 years now, that being my Ruger American Ranch in 7.62x39. Now, obviously I've done a few things to this rifle. It's not exactly stock. However, overall, this is a very affordable rifle to own, a very practical rifle to own, and last but not least, a very fun rifle to shoot. So we're going to talk about all those things and more right now. All right, very first shots from the Ruger American Ranch. I am pretty excited. It's also cold. It's probably about 20 degrees outside. See how she does. Here we go. First shot. That's all 5, at least for now. Not bad. The Ruger American line traces its roots back to 2011, advertising themselves as a family of budget-minded bolt-action rifles, while also promoting the Ruger Marksman Adjustable Trigger, similar in design to Savage's AccuTrigger. Playing with the set screw and the trigger housing allows you to adjust the trigger pull from 3 to 5 pounds. Gen 1s came in 4 different offerings: Standard, Compact, Magnum, and Predator, all offering a variety of barrel lengths, lengths of actions, and Magnum/full-length rifle calibers. To supplement the Ruger American, the Ruger American Ranch line features carbine or 16-inch barrels in intermediate calibers such as .350 Legend, .300 Blackout, .556, and the caliber I was set on having, 7.62x39. At the time that I bought my Gen 1 American Ranch, Ruger announced their Gen 2 line around Christmas of 2023, both for the American and American Ranch, featuring a fluted barrel, a different/more ergonomic/adjustable stock, a 3-position safety, and an interchangeable bolt handle. Do I regret not getting a Gen 2? Personally, no. I like the more traditional look and feel of the traditional stock and the non-fluted barrel, and my bolt handle feels just fine, so I don't feel a need to change it. This doesn't justify the higher price tag of the Gen 2s to me either. Speaking of, at the time that I purchased this at the tail end of 2023, the Ranch could be had for around $530, at least for the 7.62x39 offering, making it extremely affordable. Money had to be spared somewhere, so yes, the stock is polymer and kind of whatever, although I think it feels pretty good. But where they did spend money was in the cold hammer forged barrel, a good trigger, and a decent 3-lug dual lock and cam bolt. So thank you, Ruger, for putting your money where it really counts. So there's a nice little overview of Ruger's American and American Ranch line, which brings me nicely to my rifle. The first thing you may notice is that this clearly isn't the factory FDE that these ranches come with, but rather a custom little paint scheme because my artsy little hands got a hold of some spray paint. Starting from the tip of the rifle, you'll notice that I have a muzzle device. That's because Ruger decided to thread their barrels, so put any kind of muzzle device you like on here or don't. I'm a simple guy, so I put a $10 A2 flash hider on here because they work well and they're affordable. Just make sure it's a 1/2 inch by 28mm thread for the 30 cal or the 7.62x39 version. Moving past the barrel is the scope mount, and Ruger gives you 6 inches of Picatinny rail to work with to allow you to mount optics. Now I tried really hard to mount my primary arms 3 times prism, but even at the longest and the most precarious cantilever mount that I had, it just wasn't enough, I believe. Plus you're losing your cheek weld due to the raised height, and you're endangering the zero of your optic with this extensive of a cantilever mount, so I sort of abandoned that route. However, it can be done, and I believe Clayco's friend did this in Clayco's video of the Ruger American Ranch. Red dots, longer eye relief prisms / scopes, or traditional scopes or LPVOs are more of the way to go here. You have this pick rail right up top, so and because it's more of a traditional rifle stock, it's more of a traditional rifle in that sense, you're sort of limited to red dots or 1x prisms, just red dots. You're kind of limited to like red dots and scopes, LPVOs. I went into this really hoping that I could just put a primary arms, like a 3x micro prism, just like I have right here, on this rifle. But there's a big issue with prisms, and the reason why prisms don't really work is because you're limited to eye relief. Like I've demonstrated here, I don't know if you can see there on screen, but okay, so if I were to properly mount this, yes, all 3 holes would line up. I kind of have it cantilevered back, skipping 1 hole, because in my little process here, I was trying my darndest to let this sit. I need to loosen this more. As far back as possible while still trying to get some eye relief, and it just was not possible. And I know with these 3x micro prisms here, what did they say on their website, like 2.7 inches or something. You have to be pretty darn close to it. And cheating, and I wouldn't in no way mount this seriously. Again, I was doing this just to see if it was even possible to get the proper eye relief. And in my conclusion, it's not. Even like this, in a way I would never mount this seriously. It's still very shadowed. I mean, I have to get basically here to get a clear sight picture. So even with this cheating system that I've kind of demonstrated here, I'm still like 2 inches short. So it's just not possible. I've looked around at the Vortex offerings, Swamp Fox offerings, and they're all relatively the same. If you have primary arms optics, it comes with a plethora of cantilever little mounts here to go onto your base to cantilever it back, just like it's shown right there. But the problem is, because it is more of a traditional rifle, you want your cheek, and to get a proper cheek weld, you want that optic to be as low as possible. So the problem with all these little cantilevers is it raises the optic up. And even with a red dot, it's like perfect eye relief. How the hell am I mounting this? That's backwards. So if you add any kind of cantilever, you're not going to get a cheek weld. Desiring simplicity and maintaining the lightweight nature of this handy rifle, I decided on a fixed 4x scope, and I utilized eBay for a Leopold FX2 fixed 4x prism scope, weighing in at only 9.3 ounces. Seriously, on a side note, whatever happened to simple lightweight 4x scopes? It would also be nice to put a pair of minimalist iron sights on here, but Ruger didn't make it all that easy. I suppose you could put a rear aperture on the rear and tap the barrel for a front sight post. Nodex Bud, you guys still making irons for these? Now for probably the biggest change or upgrade to this rifle, the Magwell. From the factory, Ruger will give you a detachable 5-round Ruger Mini 30 magazine and supplementary Magwell. However, small, often independent companies exist out there that will 3D print or create Magwells that will allow you to use AK magazines. I went through Fire Castle Customs in Colorado, and Andrew did a fine job converting mine. Now, instead of paying $30+ for Ruger Mini 30 mag, plus all the additional magazines, I can not only use all the banana AK mags that I own, but for even less money than a couple Ruger Mini 30 mags, I can buy a 10-pack of 10-round AK mags. Now, there will be a fee depending on who you go through to work on your Magwell, but reusing magazines and having cross-platform compatibility is worth it to me. Personally, I prefer the 10-round magazines because I feel it's the perfect medium of enough capacity for this little bolt gun, while maintaining the sleek, lightweight nature of the rifle, especially if you shoot prone a lot. As I mentioned before, Ruger includes their Marksman adjustable trigger, which is a nice, crisp, single-stage trigger with a 3 to 5 pound pull. Not sure what mine is set at, but mine felt excellent out of the box, and I don't feel the need to mess with it, but it is adjustable if I want to fine-tune it further. It also has a little safety tang in it to prevent against accidental discharges. The bolt has a 70-degree bend, which allows clearance for most scopes, and the bolt itself feels relatively smooth and quick. Like most bolt guns, and from what I gather, if your bolt is a bit sticky, it'll smooth out over time as your round count and your range trips increase. The Gen 1 Ranch has a 2-position tang safety, much like the Mossberg 500, which to me feels right at home. It also comes with swivel studs, which I've utilized and put a simple Magpul RS1 sling on. The only gripe I really have with this rifle, and it's kind of a strange one, is the rubber butt pad. Though it feels nice when shouldered, I seem to constantly have the bottom edge of the pad snag on my clothing when I release it from my shoulder. Does anyone else have this issue? Overall, you have a very handy, accurate, and lightweight little bolt gun, weighing in at 7 pounds, 7 ounces, fully configured with an empty mag, like I have here. Now, in the face of all the other firearms out there, who would this rifle be for? The direct competitors to the Ruger American Ranch would be the CZ527 and the Savage Axis II Scout. The CZ has since been discontinued and fetches a price tag of $1,000 or more on the used market, while the Savage Axis II Scout also fetches a higher price tag than the Ranch. Coupled with Ruger's reputation and good build quality, I think the Ranch is the best value of the three. So, who's this rifle suited for? The 7.62x39 round is a .30 caliber cartridge comparable to .30-30, stout enough to handle medium gain and fairly accurate out to 300 yards or so before falling off a cliff in terms of bullet drop, especially past 400. Because it is an intermediate round, the recoil is far less than a full-size round such as .30-06 or .308. And for a fun comparison, here's me shooting my 8mm Mauser compared to me shooting the Ruger American Ranch. Due to these factors, and because the rifle itself is so lightweight, this makes it a great choice for a son or daughter that's just getting into hunting, or even shooting for that matter. Because it is such an affordable rifle, and because the 7.62x39 round is still relatively cheap, this makes the Ranch a great candidate for someone getting into more of a precision shooting platform. I say that loosely, but you hear what I'm saying. While offering a great setup to learn the basics, while being able to put rounds down range affordably without being intimidating or having a steep learning curve. You may have heard the Ruger American Ranch rifle referred to as a scout rifle, and I thought this would be a fun segment to explore this further.
Oh, come on.
The term originated from the legend himself, Jeff Cooper. Jeff Cooper served with the Marine Corps during World War II in Korea, and afterwards became a prolific firearms instructor, teaching modern shooting techniques for pistol, rifle, and shotgun. Being a proponent of larger caliber firearms, Jeff published an article in the 1980s where he described his idea of a general purpose rifle as being a short, light, handy, versatile utility rifle. This would be a bolt-action rifle chambered in .308 or other full-size rifle calibers, less than a meter in length, less than 3 kilograms or 6.6 pounds, with iron sights, and or a forward-mounted optical sight, aka the long eye relief scope ahead of the receiver, and fitted with a sling. Jeff was a big game hunter who hunted around the world and so emphasized a rifle that was lightweight, easy to carry, and reliable. He wanted sights that made sense for hunting ranges, offering ease of quick follow-up shots, and sights that allowed you to keep good peripheral vision, hence the long eye relief scope or the iron sights. He emphasized this paired with a caliber that could basically take down anything up to about 450 pounds or so. And thus, the Scout rifle concept was born. And Jeff would work with Steyr on this vision, resulting in the Steyr Scout, debuting in the late 90s while simultaneously propping up and destroying egos on Counter-Strike. Alright, so this was an extremely quick overview on Jeff Cooper and his Scout rifle concept. If you want to look into this further, I recommend, there's plenty of documentaries on Jeff Cooper. Ian from Forgotten Weapons also has an awesome video on the Steyr Scout, and he talks about the Scout rifle concept, so I'd look into that, at least to start. So, comparing this criteria to the American Ranch, I would say conceptually, I would say kind of conceptually, the Ruger American Ranch kind of matches Jeff Cooper's vision here, but there's obviously some differences. The two main things that don't exactly fit Cooper's Scout rifle mold would be the chambering in .308, the full-size rifle caliber, and the scope being ahead of the receiver, or the Scout scope orientation. But remember, Jeff was a big game hunter, and this is criteria that was established in the 80s. 40 plus years later, and intermediate calibers are much more abundant, popular, and affordable.
Yeah, 10 for 10.
Almost everyone my age that I know of who shoots often is either buying 5.56 or 7.62 by 39 in bulk. Will 7.62 by 39 take down everything? No, but as long as you're not going on an African safari or something, it'll take down most things within 300 yards and closely resembles Cooper's utilitarian, jack-of-all-trades nature of this rifle. And about Scout scopes. Remember here that Jeff wanted a lower power scope for the sake of quick shots and quick follow-up shots, while retaining your peripheral vision, hence the good eye relief. Glass has also come a long way since the 80s, and dots and LPVOs and other optics have greatly enhanced their clarity, their field of view, and their eye relief, and in many ways have rendered Scout scopes sort of not ideal outside of niche circumstances. Plus, the weight of the scope ahead of the receiver greatly affects the balance of the rifle. A while back, I put one of those Bad Ace Scout scope mounts on my Mauser, coupled with I think it was a 2.75 power Scout scope, but I soon reverted back to my irons because of the weight imbalance. It just didn't feel right. I didn't really like the way it felt. Another reason for the forward-mounted Scout scope would be to allow the use of stripper clips, since scopes mounted over the receiver deny this perk. However, in this case, the detachable magazines of the Ranch render this type of scope mounting kind of unnecessary. So, in 2025, I think the way many of us digest the term Scout rifle is for a light, handy, short, bolt-action rifle, allowing quick follow-up shots that is easily carried with a reliable or robust sights that will take down sort of anything from 0 to 300 yards. And in this case, I'm kind of thinking back to Brass Fax's classification of this sort of rifle. It's sort of a field rifle, or like the name suggests, a ranch rifle. It's not quite an SPR or recce rifle. These would, in my mind, are kind of too specialized, perhaps too heavy, too precise, too delicate of a scope. To sum this up, I think the Ruger American Ranch and rifles like it, such as the CZ527 and Savage Axis II Scout, are modern variants of Cooper's Scout rifle concept in a broader sense. Though they don't fit this criteria to a T, they capture the essence of what he sought out to achieve. This is a light, handy, versatile, and compact rifle that will take down a deer, medium game, or pass around a homestead, and be stout and accurate out to, again, 300-ish yards, while its ammunition remains comparatively inexpensive and readily available. It's a no-frills, basic, well-built, utilitarian firearm that gives you everything you need and nothing you don't. If you have an SKS or an AK variant, or a stockpile of 7.62 by 39, it's a great supplementary rifle to own. And best of all, for a shooter like me, this rifle is fun. I've always liked bolt-action firearms. My 8mm M24 or 52C Mauser was my first true rifle and my first bolt gun love. And since quality 8mm Mauser ammunition is becoming harder to come by and more expensive, this inexpensive option scratches the bolt gun itch. And because it's so light and slim, every time I go to the range, I just want to run around and do drills with it like I do with my AR, while also having the accuracy and the low power scope to reach out just a little bit. And I think every firearm shooting enthusiast should have a gun like this, that breaks the norm of the AR and challenges you in a fun way without breaking the bank. If this were an off-road or dual sport motorcycle, it would be a Deere Z400. Decent at everything while excelling at nothing. Heavier for single track, but light on the highway. A true, dependable, utilitarian steed that will handle almost anything you throw at it. Perhaps outclassed, but damn it does it put a smile on my face every time I twist the throttle. Oh, that's a fun rifle. So I hope that video provided a little bit more context on the Ruger American Ranch, a rifle I like quite a lot. Now, I'm not a hunter, I'm not a precision shooter, I'm simply just an average guy who likes to go to the range and just work on the basics. So take all this with a grain of salt. If you'd like a little bit more information on this rifle from somebody who does hunt, somebody who does do reloading and hand loads for this rifle, as well as a little bit more nuance, as well as some accuracy and velocity tests, I'll link Andrew's channel down here below. I love making these videos, and I'm hoping this one can provide a little bit more nuance on the Ruger American Ranch in this caliber, other than just like a first shots or an unboxing video. I'm an extremely average man, and I've got some more exciting videos coming down the pipeline that I'm not only excited to make, but I think you guys would really enjoy too. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Ready? Stand by. Oh, man. Oh, 5 rounds goes so darn fast. Making him angry, buddy.
Oh, he's down in the little hole. Rango.
Oh,
I don't have it.
oh, I got you. All right, do it again. Uh-oh.
Rack it.
Oh, it was empty. All right, go get it. Reservoir Dog. Get out of here, 556. Rango. Hey. Fatty. It's actually called fatty. Mm-hmm. You may have, or more of the way to, or more of the way to go here. A true, dependable. Oh my God. The first thing you may notice is that this. He emphasized this paired with a caliber that could being a proponent of larger caliber firearms. Jeff published an article in the. Don't taste that rum. I think the way many of us digest the term scout scope. So in 2020, let's just pause it there. Jesus Christ. Dude, I cannot talk. I think I need more alcohol. Okay. Would be to allow the use of stripper clips. But since scopes mounted over their... Where am I?